Hey folks, it's Jim. I wanted to do this video back in January, but I got the flu and then the snow came, and anyway. But anyway, should the ego be in prepping? This was prompted by several people writing in and discussing egos and talking about them. One person even decided to quit making videos. Even some very popular people out there were talking about egos being a problem. So anyway, I just wanted to share a video of why I think preppers should keep their egos in check, and should the ego even be in this. But let's start with the first thing. Most of us in SHTF WROL, the first thing that's going to happen, or is going to be apparent, is it's going to come down to chance. Will we have the chance to survive? So no matter how well prepared we are, or skilled we think we are, will we even have the chance to survive the first initial wave of SHTF WROL, right? So that's first. Will we even have the chance to survive? Then, on top of that, okay, we have to look at all of the reasons why that might be. Earthquake, fire, flood, nuclear disaster, volcano, tornado. Can any of your fancy preps stop these things? I don't think so. And what if it's a plague, like the scenario that I think is most likely going to happen? A plague is going to start sweeping, and there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. And it's going to happen so fast and furious that eventually it's going to lead to an economic collapse, and then it's all on SHTF. It begins. Because they can't keep up with it, and the economy collapses as a result of the mass sickness. So that's my scenario. Can you stop that with all your fancy preps and all your good skills and all of that? Can you stop that? No, none of us can. So the reality of it is, most of the things that are going to happen that are going to set off SHTF or WROL are not in our control, nor can we truly be fully prepared for them. Not if they're coming upon us. So it boils down to chance. Wrong place, wrong time, we're done. And some of us obviously will survive, and then our preps can come into play. But the first thing apparent is that it just boils down to chance. Real survival has no ego. You just survive. Anybody who's truly had to survive anything knows that and understands it, okay? You just survive. There's no ego in it. There's no rah-rah. There's no running around bragging, celebrating, or telling your story over and over again. It's very private. It's very personal, usually. You just survive. You wake up another day, and there is no ego in that. Most who have survived a major disaster or military experiences will tell you that. Very private, very personal. But anyway, sometimes it's as simple as 2 feet as to why we survive, and that's why there really can't be an ego in it. You know what I mean? The reality of it is, you wake up another day and you realize that it just wasn't your day, and you're still here. You know? And that's the reality of survival sometimes. A matter of 2 feet or a split second difference as to whether you live or die. So there's no ego really in survival, not real survival. Okay? And then after those of us that do survive the initial calamity will have skills, and preps will come into play at that time. But that will only last a period of time if we're given the opportunity, the chance to survive initially. That will only play for a time. Then our genetics will come into play. You know, and things like flu, appendicitis, dental infections, heart disease, stroke, pulmonary embolisms, basic infections from a wound, you know, things of that nature. I got to tell you folks, I get sick once every 4 or 5 years. I don't take the flu shot, I don't take the pneumonia shot, I don't take any medications, I'm not diabetic, I don't have high blood pressure, none of that. I take no pills. And I say that because that flu, this last year's flu, the one that was different from what they immunized for apparently, that one had my genetic number. And I tell you, I don't know if I would have lived. SHTF, 30 below, having to keep a fire going and keep myself hydrated while people could have brought me soup and water and things of that nature, they wouldn't have been able to come into my camp, or else they would risk getting it as well too and put themselves at risk. And I don't want anybody to risk their life, so I wouldn't even have allowed it anyway. So I would have had to keep a fire going, keep myself hydrated, so on and so forth. Could I have done it? I don't know. I honestly have to tell you that, folks. At 30 below, I don't know if I'd have lived with that flu. And I'm grateful that I didn't have to go to the doctor, and I fought it off. My friend Bill wound up with pneumonia, had to go in the hospital 2 days. He's a pretty strong guy, and got some know-how and stuff, and that flu would have taken him. So, you know, I just wanted to share that. It comes down to genetics as well, and many people are a ticking time bomb: heart disease, appendectomy, stroke, pulmonary embolism, dental infections. You know how many people are going to die from dental infections? Can you stop that? No, it's why I talk about these things in my videos. Little things that people kind of scoff at. Oh, the hydrogen peroxide, the oral solution. There's a reason I hint at all these little things in my videos. Some people have scoffed at my pack. Well, pack whatever pack you want. I know what I need to survive. You pack whatever you think you need to survive. You know? But should the ego be in this? No. Because it boils down to, first, chance. Will we have the chance to survive? Then second, genetics. Do we even have the genetics to survive? You know, the reality of it is we've been breeding weakness into the human race for the last 100 years. Since the advent of antibiotics and immunizations and all of that, weak has been allowed to survive, and it's coming home to roost now. And I know this is a hard pill to swallow for many of you. You don't want to hear this, but the reality of it is the human race has been breeding weakness into our culture for a long time. Because, let's face it, 50% of us should have died by the age of 5 if it weren't for science. Then let's add on the fact that another 2 out of 10 of us shouldn't have made it to breeding age. And then maybe 2 out of 10 would have made it to breeding age and, you know, populated a strong race. But the reality of it is about, I'd say 7 out of 10 who went on to continue the race probably shouldn't have lived. And that's what has been going on in our society. Can you get around that? No. With all your fancy prep skills and everything, can you get around genetic weakness and the fact that most of us are ticking time bombs in the end? And it's only a matter of time before something comes home to roost. And I say this being a healthy person at my age. No meds, no high blood pressure, you know, nothing. I've had one cavity my whole life. I'm still humbled with the idea that most of us will not survive, okay, due to genetic weakness. And my prediction still stands, 9 out of 10. Those of you who wish to argue it, argue all you want. I'm going to stick to it from a scientific standpoint, okay, for me. So then, how can the ego be in it? You know, it's only science that's kept 7 out of 10 of us alive anyway. You know what I mean? And the other 3 out of 10 who have survived thus far in this existence, it's possible that infection or something else would have taken us as well, right? So how the ego can be in prepping in any way, shape, or form is beyond me, folks. And if your ego's in this, get over it. Anybody who's a real prepper knows one thing above all things. This year's preps may change next year because I may have learned something new or discovered a flaw in my system and I've got to fix it. Or I just learned something better. One of my favorite people that I learn from the most are different from me. They will probably never own a gun, right? They will probably never have a tactical vest. But one lady teaches me how to make a year's supply of laundry soap. How handy is that, right? Awesome. And boy, isn't she prepared when it all does go down. And another lady teaches me how to make soup. We're different types of people. But you know what? It's all helpful. I learn from everybody out there. You know what I mean? From the least to the best I learn from. You know, there isn't anybody that I won't listen to try and gain more knowledge and more wisdom on this journey. And that's just for me. And most of those that I see running around, and this is for those who have had their feelings hurt by these people who run around berating people. This is what I notice about them. One, they don't make their own videos. Two, if they do, they're usually so out of shape and smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day and probably won't survive the first 6 months anyway. So what they're doing running around berating anybody, I don't know. But if I were them, the first thing I'd do is get in the best shape of my life and not stop worrying about everybody else. And if I'm doing the things that I need to do, my life gets better. And I don't have time to run around worrying about what you're doing. And that's why I show what I show on my channel. I show what I'm doing. What I do. This is a hobby and it is a lifestyle for me. The small homesteading lifestyle along with the prepper lifestyle. It's just my life. So I have no dog in the hunt, if you will, for the ego. I just live the way I live. So for me, maybe it's a little different. I'm not affected by these people. But for those of you that are, just remember, the joke may be on them, no matter how hip, slick, and cool they think they are. The one that they may judge and berate the most may get the chance to survive, then have the genetics to survive, and wind up with their preps. And won't that be funny? So the next time one of these fools starts judging, condemning, or berating you, just know you don't really want much of what they got anyway. Because if they got time to run around doing that, they certainly aren't living their own life and getting #1 on their own stuff. Because if they're doing that, you don't have time to run around judging, condemning, and berating others. But anyway, I just wanted to share some of these points. You know, it was prompted by the egos. And then when I took ill with the flu, as I laid there for that 36 hours where I was really down hard, I mean, curled up, shaking hard, you know what I mean? Ginger ale and just hanging on. Probably should have went to the doctor, but I choose to let my immune system fight these things off. I think it makes me stronger. But and I only get sick once every 4 or 5 years. So, but I'm getting older too, and that's another reason why I count myself in the 9 out of 10. Eventually, I'm not going to make it. You know, it's just reality of it. I don't think I'm going to survive more than 2 or 3 years of SHTF WROL. I've got some preps, I've got some skills, and I can make my own food out here. And I don't think I'm going to make it that long. So the idea that somebody ego can be in this is foolish to me. Those who have truly survived knows that one boils down to chance. Do you even get the chance to survive first? That's first. So how your ego can be in that is preposterous, man. It can't be, because it's just chance. If it's WROL and the bomb lands on your block, you're done. You can't do a damn thing about it. Get over it. It's not going to be about ego. It's about chance. If it's SHTF, you know, by plague, do you have the genetics to survive the plague? That's what it boils down to. There's no ego in that. You're born that way. And let's face it, 7 out of 10 of us are genetically inferior, folks. Should have never survived. Natural selection would have had us. Hence, we've been breeding weakness back into the human race. So get over it on all levels. Your ego can't be in this, because the joke's going to be on those with the biggest egos when they don't have the chance or the genetics to survive, and the one who does winds up with their stuff. You know? So I don't know. This is just a message I felt that I wanted to pass, that I was led to pass for some reason. Hopefully maybe it'll ease others' hearts. If you're on your first bug out bag, just do it, man. And I'll watch your video, you know, if I've got time. And do the best that you can. Watch as many videos as you can. It's one step at a time, one day at a time with this prepper journey. And those of us who've been on for a while know one thing above all things. Don't get cocky, because this year's preps may change when you learn something new. You know what I mean? So anyway, I hope you're all having a good life and a good day. And remember, if you're working on yourself, being the best you can be, you don't have time to run around putting other people down. And those who are happy and doing what they need to be doing, just don't do that anyway. So do you really want to listen to somebody that runs around judging, condemning, and berating anyone? Experience, strength, and hope. Jim out.